Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today we are going to be talking about two very important decisions that everybody who goes to university really has to make at some point, and it's a decision that I'm going to be having to make very soon about my future. First off, let me say thank you very much to everyone who subscribed over the many years to help me reach 50,000 subscribers. Yes, a very proud moment, thank you very much. And obviously I've had like a 2-3 week break because drama school right now is super busy, super hectic. Plays, showcases, industry week, networking, so my time is very limited. I've kind of got a bit of a mullet in this time as well, which is a bit rogue. Today we're talking about two decisions that I'm gonna have to make very soon that are very important. And we're gonna have a chat about them because these decisions are basically big life decisions that they're really hard decisions to make, right? Okay, so the first one is obviously when you leave university, you can either move out and move in with friends, whether it be at your university or in London or wherever you wanna go, or you can move back home and live with your parents and family for another year. And it's just such a tough question to ask because once you graduate, you often don't have much money. You've been living with friends for a long time, you get used to that, you love it. But then again, you can save so much money in rent, electricity, most likely food and stuff, by living at home. Obviously, my masters, I decided to stay at home because yeah, London's hella expensive and I didn't have that much money to be able to live in London, especially when I only live like an hour away, so, you know, it didn't make much sense. But I'm about to graduate from my degree, and it begs the question of, do I want to live at home? We know the perks. Good location, free, and free. The alternative is I move in with some friends in London most likely, and we kind of have a smaller house where I don't have as much space, but I'm living with friends in the city, going out, etc, etc, which, I mean, is such a pleasing prospect. But financially, I could probably afford to move out and live in London just about. Like, I couldn't really afford to have many luxury nights out if I was paying rent. I couldn't afford to have, you know, luxury food. It would be like Little Aldi sort of vibe. And so, you know, it's really a big dilemma when you can potentially move out, but it's gonna be the main source of your income, and you have to kind of suss up whether it's worth it. Now, for me, right now, I'm opting down a different plan with this first question, this first decision. So for me, what I'd rather do is I would rather save up all my money while I'm living at home, because this is the only time in my life when I'm gonna have zero expenditures in terms of living. You know, I don't pay rent here, don't pay for food, etc. Probably should though, but shh. And so this year is probably the only crossover year where I'm young enough to be accepted living at home, where I'm basically able to earn money and not have to pay any rent or stuff like that for first year. And so I really want to take advantage of this because I don't want to really be earning money and having to spend it all on rent with my very first year when I don't have to. So my plan is I want to save up all of my money over the next year. I have no clue how much that's going to be, but I want to save it up and then try and buy the cheapest flat possible by the end of this year. I then want to rent out that flat and then so I want to buy a flat, rent it out, and then move into somewhere else, more central, rent that out, but me being the one who's renting it. So rent one out, rent this one. So if I wanted to get on the property ladder, obviously if I was living in central London, for example, all of my income's gonna be going on renting out a house, whereas if I live at home and don't have to pay too much expenditures, more of my income can be saved for buying my own house. So it basically speeds up the process massively of getting on the property ladder. And of course, to make this even remotely successful, I'm gonna have to be investing my money very wisely, I'm gonna have to be working very hard, and I'm gonna have to make sure that I'm not slacking next year. So in relation to the first big question, once you finish uni, that's the route I'm gonna go down. However, I do have friends who have done other things like stay at home for the first year while working, save up some money, then move out into a place in London and just live life in London because that's where you wanna be when you're young. It might most definitely do. And then I know other people that straight after their degree, they went up and lived in York for another extra year, and I think now they're roughly dispersing back around into other places. So it really is about when you feel like you've had enough of uni, I guess, because if I felt like I didn't have enough university experience, then probably I would stay at uni for a bit longer in the local area. And then the second big question is, and this is one that is slightly applicable to me because my career going forward is very lucrative, it is when you first graduate, do you want to have a year off and finally have that gap year if you never took one? Or do you want to get straight back into work and just straight zoom into a grad job and be in that working life straight away? And this one's tough. And both of these questions are very personal. Like, so for me, it's very different because my grad job, I could be working for a week, then not work for 3 weeks because I'm trying to be an actor. But I love traveling. I love that sort of exploration. I love traveling. So my plan is, when I'm not working as an actor next year, to travel, to trade stocks and shares, to vlog stuff, to do YouTube stuff, Skillshare stuff, and I can kind of not have to be committed to a grad job because that's just the way my work is. But let's say, for example, if my work required a 24/7 sort of commitment every week, let's say I was working 5 days a week non-stop, then deciding about going into a grad job straight away or a gap year is quite a big decision. And I think that, you know, there's only a few years you can actually not, you have like 2 years max to get into a grad job. Once you finish, I'd say, I mean, it's a bit rough, but you're fresh talent then, you know what I mean? Because if you're gonna graduate and then not really work towards anything, it kind of seems like a waste not to go straight into work. But if you have things you want to do, or you finally want to have a chill out, then taking a gap year is, after graduating, probably a good thing, you know? So there are two very big decisions. The first one, I've made the decision to try and push myself as hard as I can for the first year and potentially get a flat. The second one is one where essentially the decision's already made for me, luckily. But recently, those are the two biggest decisions that I'm facing in my life. I feel like everybody who goes to university faces them decisions at some point, and I feel like there's no easy answer to any of them. It just depends on who you are as a person and what you want to do. So let me know what you think about those questions, my decisions, and I look forward to hearing what you guys think in the comments down below. I'll be back with some content starting in the new year. That is, if you're an economics student, if you like traveling, if you're into acting, then it's gonna be good, trust me. Alright, thank you very much, guys. Thought I'd check in today with a video basically about 2 questions I've been running over in my mind lots recently. So take care, thank you.
All up in my head, that's how I behave. Passing up the same, waking up the same. All up in my head, that's just how I behave.